Привет. Я сейчас нахожусь в Калифорнии, Лос-Анджелесе, район самый потрясающий, район Беверли-Хиллз. Кто я такая? Меня зовут Алина, и я маркетолог с более чем 10-летним стажем. За это время я работаю в таких больших корпорациях, как Nestlé и Ferrero. Перед тем, как переехать сюда, я руководила командой трейд-маркетинг или шоппер-маркетинг Ferrero. Чем я там занималась? Я отвечала за знание и понимание потребителей, за развитие и продвижение брендов, таких как Рафаэлло, Ферреро Роше, Нутелла, Киндер, и делала это на международном уровне. Переехав сюда, я готова своими знаниями делиться.
Привет, меня зовут Даша, и в нашей команде я отвечаю за SMM и диджитал стратегии. Более того, я занимаюсь этим уже более 5 лет, всему научилась на практике и даже создала свой собственный стартап. Это было первое онлайн-медиа в России, посвященное свадьбам, называется проект Vibes. Мы достигли в свое время более 1,5 миллиона подписчиков на разных медиаплатформах, и примерно полгода назад проект успешно продали. Уже находясь здесь, в Калифорнии, я встретила своего партнера Алину, и мы создали наше собственное агентство под названием «Дали». Что такое Дали? Дали — это маркетинговое агентство 360 градусов. Что это означает? Это означает, что мы узнаем, кто ваша целевая аудитория, что ей нужно, занимаемся продвижением проекта, пиар-коммуникациями, маркетинговой стратегией и, конечно, SMM-продвижением.
Помимо работы в нашем агентстве Дали и помощи брендам в развитии, мы запустили проект, который назвали Market Yourself. В рамках этого проекта мы встречаемся с очень успешными людьми в своих индустриях и спрашиваем у них, как им удалось добиться такого успеха. Они рассказывают нам про свои победы и поражения, про свой путь, про те уроки, которые они выучили, и про инсайты, которые извлекли. И сегодня они помогают им идти вперед и добиваться все новых и новых высот. Всеми этими историями мы делимся здесь, для того, чтобы вдохновить как можно больше людей развиваться самим и развивать свои бренды. И наш первый сезон мы посвятили свадьбе. Почему? Потому что Калифорния — это признанный трендсеттер в этой индустрии. Также здесь живет очень много успешных, талантливых профессионалов, которые стояли у истоков этой индустрии. Этот сезон мы делаем в коллаборации с известным, талантливым, прекрасным фотографом Ромой Ивановым. И сейчас он подробнее о себе расскажет.
Алина, большое спасибо за такое представление. Меня зовут Роман Иванов, и в этом году я стал лучшим свадебным фотографом в России по версии Top 100 Awards. Для кого будут интересны эти видео? В первую очередь для тех, кто хочет развиваться как профессионал в свадебной индустрии. Мы берем интервью у мировых звезд свадебного бизнеса, и все, кто с этим как-то сопричастен, все, кто хочет получить такую информацию, пожалуйста, смотрите, будет очень и очень интересно.
Зачем вам это нужно? На самом деле готовых решений нет, но зато есть опыт успешных людей, которым они с удовольствием с вами поделились.
Он поможет, первое, найти ответы на вопросы, второе, расширить границы и посмотреть по-новому на возможности развития.
Третье – заполнить пробелы. И четвертое – узнать, как работает рынок Калифорнии.
Пятое – понять, как мировые топовые свадебные агентства ищут себе подрядчиков. И шестое – много веселых моментов и классных инсайтов. Будет интересно.
Кто такая Элизабет? Она основательница и вдохновительница свадебного агентства под названием Nouveau Romantics. Ее детищу уже более 10 лет, и за это время она успела организовать сотни потрясающих проектов. Только посмотрите на них. Фирменный почерк Лиз и ее команды – это эстетика, нежный аристократичный цвет, миллион сказочных деталей. Новые романтики, именно так переводится название агентства с французского, успели организовать свадьбы как в Канаде, так и Италии и даже Марракеше. Как они сами говорят, они не боятся использовать свою фантазию на полную катушку, рисковать, а еще обладают классным чувством юмора. В этом мы убедились сами. Команду не раз признавали одной из лучших в Америке такие экспертные издания, как Harper's Bazaar, Martha Stewart, Brides, а публикации почти каждого проекта молниеносно распространяются по интернету. В настоящее время Элизабет запустила свой мастер-майнд и опубликовала книгу, полезную как организаторам, так и невестам. А в нашем интервью она расскажет, как она живет, работает и создает.
Hi! Hi, Elizabeth.
One moment, we will just add one more.
I was gonna say good. Okay.
What? Can you say it again, please? I think it's just in the connection.
You're so stylish. Wow.
Yeah, the connection is a little low.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I haven't washed my hair in a couple days, so this is really like a self-preservation thing.
Oh, okay. It's like you were like stylish peaks, but now as a girl, we totally understand you. Totally.
Yeah, I definitely have workout pants on the bottom and underneath.
That's normal. That's normal. This how it works for everybody.
Yes.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Let me introduce ourselves. So I'm Daria. I'm the one who was like emailing the few back.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you. This is Alina.
Alina.
My
Yeah.
partner in crime, and another partner in crime is Roman. Like
Perfect.
Hello.
so we have a big team, like part of us in Los Angeles right
It
now.
is us.
Yeah,
In West
it is
Hollywood.
us. Yeah, and Roman, he's in Moscow. He's a photographer. He's one of
Got
the
it.
photographers in Russia, and this is like our.
We believe.
we believe.
It is true.
No, it's true. It's true. And we decided to create together like this particular project, like as you know already. So we're trying to approach people who inspires us, like people who we've been following for such a long time. And I couldn't even imagine actually to meet you sometime.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I was like, wait, you're in LA? You're in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
You're quarantined to your house and all that is. I just left. I mean, I left LA in January and I was in Texas for a couple months, and now I'm in Vancouver, Canada, and it's delightful. It's just so, but I have to come back to LA to pick up my furniture to bring it up here.
Oh, so you just moved
So
there?
you're moving to Canada?
I'm Canadian and I've been in the US for 14 years. And so I had sort of planned, because a lot of my clients are totally destination and it didn't seem to really matter. And the forest fires in Los Angeles and a bunch of other things, I was like, you know what, I'm good. And maybe I can live anywhere and work anywhere. And it doesn't really matter. Like, I'll say I'm in the States and I fly to all of my meetings anyways. So the location doesn't seem to be as much of a deal breaker. And so it's nice and 70 degrees here. It's glorious.
In Canada.
Pardon?
In which city in Canada?
Vancouver.
Vancouver.
Well,
Yeah.
I would love to visit the city one day. Like, I heard
Come on up. I got a second bedroom. It's glorious. I feel like part of me coming back is bringing up all of my American or international friends, really. And like, this is my home. This is where I grew up. So it's nice to come back, but it's 20 years later. So it's a different city, but it's so beautiful here. So
I can't even imagine, like, because like this is my first year in LA, in the United
Yeah.
States. I mean, I've been here like so many times.
Yeah.
For the first time, then I've just been staying here, and
what a year. What a year to be.
Yeah.
we were so lucky to choose particularly this time of the year to just move here, and we together attend the UCLA, and it was my dream for like 10 years, and 10 years. So I started just a couple of semesters, and now it doesn't really matter. I'm just like attend online. So what's the point?
Well, I have lots of Los Angeles. I lived in LA for 4 years and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I lived in Silver Lake. I got to see the mountains. It was beautiful. It just like, I can't believe I left. It was like going to be the place. I was like, I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to live here. But then last year was the second year of really bad wildfires. And I was like, this is not a good place for me to live. And that slowly somehow this popped back into my field of view, and I was like, what about my home base is Vancouver, but then I can just travel a lot. So when it gets cold and rainy, I'll just come to LA or Mexico or wherever else, Miami, and we'll just keep doing the travel thing. But I have lots of recommendations when they finally let you out of quarantine, which might be a while. So I know they've let people out, but it's like full freedom, the full freedom part. But I'm so excited that we're connected, and I think I mentioned, in our first email, and I can explain to the other two, I went on a fam trip in Italy last year, sponsored by the Italian Tourism Board. I love them. They're just the best. Italians think they need to like do a better job of like marketing themselves. And I was just like, do you understand? Like everyone wants to be you. Like I stood in front of like 200 people being like, everyone loves you. Yeah. Everyone tries to be you. You don't have to do, I mean, they do need to do a little like marketing better, but I'm like, you already got the cheese and like the really good food. Yeah. So like, don't worry. But I met a bunch of Russians and like Ukrainians and a couple people from there. So I started to get a sense like while we were talking for the couple days that we were together. So yeah, this is fun.
Like, can you tell us the names of these wedding planners? Maybe we know them or...
Hold on. Let me get the WhatsApp group. I was like thinking about it where I was like, fuck. I
was wondering, like maybe you know some of our like friends or...
Probably. The wedding industry is very small. So like there's a high chance that we will know. I mean, I found that even when I'm like in Paris, I run into other friends who are in like just it's bananas, and it's actually what I love some of the most. Okay, hold on. Love me and oh boy. And that I like laugh. I was like, I mean, I could show you their names. I feel like who's no. And there was a couple from Bulgaria. Like it was a really interesting group. I follow them on Instagram. You know when it's like you follow people but then you forget their like actual names. Yeah. I will follow up with you and I'll figure out, and I'll also like yeah. I bet there's one of the girls I would put money on, you know, her company, and I just have to go through my social feed. Because I think I follow all of them.
So what was a special event for wedding planners? So you were like...
Yeah, so I went on another fam trip, and I'm like so excited that I'm even like on anyone's radar enough to like be taken places. But there's in LA, actually you should meet them. They're fabulous. Wetaways, Pamela and Renee. Renee is her mom, Pamela's her daughter. Renee is like an old school, built everything from the ground up. She owned like a bridal store. She had a TV show. She's just like a fabulous personality. Like you can, she's also just like wonderful. So she took us up, the two of them took a group of us up to Sonoma. And because she'd owned a bridal salon, she said she got like brought over to Europe to look for all the fashion weeks. And so she befriended the Italian tourism board and would take planners from the States over to Italy, sponsored by the Italian, I mean, any of the European tourism boards. So yeah, so she told me about that. And I was like, that sounds like I got a flight. I mean, it was like wild where I was like, wait, you're paying for like everything. And I was like, I like business class, but I have a hunch you're probably not going to pay for that, but I'll come. But like, I need to go to Paris afterwards and some other stuff. So it was 3 days, and it was sponsored, like the different areas, I think sponsored different ones, but it was Liguria and Portofino and Santa Margherita Ligure and like that area. And the group that came was a mix of, there was an Italian, there's Bulgaria, there's Ukraine, there's Russia, there's one girl from Austria, very Swiss, or like, and also like very, it was like hilarious to see different personalities and like what people go to and so yeah, a bunch of we got to see venues and eat lots of food and
drink a lot of Aperol, I imagine.
Yeah, no, there was definitely, but it was like they were long days. So like you have to phase it out because you gotta last until the nighttime. But yeah, the tourism board put it together and it was really amazing. And I will say, like, I was shocked when I heard, you know, multiple times, like, you know, Italians being like, we need to do a better job. And I was like, what? But like, maybe shift that. Like, you don't know how the rest of the world sees you. And there is like marketing stuff that I want to do, like online. Actually, I should tell you guys, I was like, I want to do online Instagram, Pinterest, and like social media presence guidance and like teaching. I have a wedding mastermind that I do on Tuesday mornings with a bunch of ladies. But part of what I really, and I was going to do an in-person retreat in Italy in September, but clearly that's not happening. But I realized I can do a digital version of like, I want to teach everyone like how to appeal to like a Western audience, or like how to really compete, because they already have the talent. They're just not showcasing it in a way that we're sort of assuming everyone needs to operate at, and that it makes them look like they could just like, you know, put on a different outfit and like zhuzh themselves up. So anyways, that's like a whole other side of things.
Cool. So you were actually gathering like another wedding planners, or who are you going to teach? Where it's going to be?
Other wedding planners, or just like wedding vendors, because even the venues, just, I mean, I know because when doing destination weddings and vetting different vendors, I go to their Instagram as the first and foremost. I do a deep dive. I look in tagged photos. I don't want your website that's probably old or just showing your best couple of work. I want to see who you are as a brand. And I think that's indicative of different age groups and like what we look at in terms of how we buy and spend our money. But as a destination wedding planner, I'm constantly looking at Instagram, and I was like, if you don't have one, and if it looks like your great aunt Mary is doing it, like it's not boding well for you, you know, like I won't trust you as much. I won't even really go that. So like Instagram and social media are such a big thing, but Pinterest and Instagram are two tools that Pinterest is like a landmine for all of us. It's a good thing. It's like a huge opportunity. So
different, because like as I understand, like I mean, like here in US, the people actually think about Pinterest as a social media, right? So you can follow each other, you can show like inspiration boards. In Russia, we mostly think about it as okay, this is like my tool just to find some,
like a library. Library with the great images, and we don't consider it as a platform like social media.
But here's the thing, it is a library, and it's essentially Google search images, but in a contained form. And the way that you as a business set up your files, it is going to pull, like if you Google something, Google's going to pull one, but how you set it up in Pinterest is also going to double feed. Like it's going to feed both Google, and it's also, so I use it because I use it as a tool. I use it as a secret backend. I'll share it, but like I'm using it as my bulletin board. And so, but like from a business perspective and how to improve on that, there's so much, like honestly, most of wedding vendors, when you're setting up that, like we don't do a good job. And it would be super easy for like venues or anyone who's done any work at venues. Like there's some really simple tools that it's just like, if you want to be found, you need to do these things on your imagery. Even on Instagram, like how are the images getting pulled in? What does it say? Because you know, when you're looking at like, say like Tuscan Villa wedding spring, or like a specific town, Montepulciano, like villa wedding. If you don't name your files that, no one's gonna find you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So there's like, it's both like websites, like blogging, Instagram, there's very simple things that you can pull all of it. But Pinterest for me is a tool. It's Google search, but it's in images. So anyways, I got lots to say on that, but another day.
No, actually, like this is so interesting, and we're definitely gonna dig in this question a little bit.
It is one of our questions that we wanted.
I know. I was going through them last night, and I've got lots to say on all of it. But I'm always curious. I love to learn. I've been doing this for 10 years, and I feel like I'm just still scratching the surface of like understanding how to run that back end of that business, and like how do people find you. And Instagram's one, but like there's a lot of other ways, and that most of us are totally clueless. And how do we make it better and not complicate it? Like not overcomplicate our lives, but like how do we set ourselves up best versus being silent in the corner where no one can find me, because that would suck. And it could be really easy for people to find you. So
yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, but let's start from the beginning, and we
So your story,
because I feel like we can just talking about.
Oh, we can. I was like, welcome to every person who's ever talked to me. I was like, we're just gonna dive in and be like, all right, so let's talk business. But
I love it, and I love drinking wine. I mean, like,
no, it's not wine. It's like I'm fully an LA person. It's like what is it? Metal. nettle, like an herb infusion. It's green.
Yeah.
I thought that you're drinking
So
wine.
it's incredibly healthy stuff. Okay.
It looks nice. Everyone's like, you're drinking wine at 9 a.m. And I was like, no, it's like, it's herbal water, but don't ask.
Yeah, because I thought maybe it's like different, maybe it's like later or whatever. And I was like, oh, is it later and you're drinking wine?
So
and
it's your
cool.
okay.
It helps with your nails. This is great. Bridal tip. It helps with your nails and your hair a lot.
Oh, really?
And it has a lot of calcium. Yeah. And it actually tastes like milk. It's weird. So anyways. You're like,
Wait. What is it? Is a herbal tea? Oh, kind of.
yeah. So I like laugh. I was like, just send me an email and I'll send you the link. It's like, I buy it in someone who had really nice long hair and was like, I drink nettle infusions and it really helps my nails. Roman, you're probably like, this is so fascinating. Helps with your nails and helps with like growing your hair. Okay. And so you do like a really big mason jar, like you do a bunch and you pour 2 ounces of the dry, it's like a dry tea. It's not a tea, but it's like that. And then you put water in it and you just let it steep for like 8 hours. And then you drain it. And then I just keep it, hold on. I just keep it in the fridge. I like laugh. I was like, this is hilarious. This is actually perfect because this is like me in a nutshell. And then I just drink some every day. And it makes me feel like I'm doing something good amongst the ice cream and like potato chips. So
especially in the morning, it's the most important part of the day. In the morning, we all
yeah. By night, it's all hands off. Like forget about it. Just okay. So my story. Sorry, what?
Send the link too. Send the link.
You guys probably have some great stuff. There's like a North American and like I think it's a Turkish, but I'm sure like Eastern Europe probably has. I think it grows wild, like wild nettle. Like I'm pretty sure you could probably harvest some somewhere. But yeah. We'll start a note of all the things that I need to send to you guys. Hold on.
Yes.
Okay, so first question, nettle. All right, great.
Besides that, tell us something else about you, your story.
It's all gonna make sense when you realize. So what's my story? I went to school for architecture. So I went to McGill University, undergrad for architecture, was gonna do a PhD and did a first year of the PhD program there, and then for grad school, and then went to New York for 4 years. Worked in a really big architecture firm that built the Freedom Tower and like the tallest building, actually. So Engage in Dubai, the hotel that it was in, the company I worked for built that.
Oh, okay.
So I was in marketing and PR and graphic design because I never wanted to have the legal liability of being an architect. I thought that was stupid. You're responsible for everything forever. It sucks. And I was like, this is not my thing. But I wanted to be in the States. And so I needed to work in architecture somehow. But what that taught me was how like their scale of projects were so big, and they like you sort of understood start to be like project management and how to approach and handle like high net worth clients. There's like the people that we're dealing with in like the Middle East and other things. Like they're not small town, they're like big companies, big people. Your like level of expectation is pretty high. So then I was there for 4 years through 2008 and watched our company like and the economy totally tank. And then I moved to Austin, Texas to do a PhD in architectural history. Totally makes sense. And while I was there, one semester in, I started my company and what was amazing is like, it was not this like laborious, it was just like, I got married. And so I had these photos, and because I'd been in marketing and PR, I was like, I know how to send these to blogs. I know how to do the storytelling part. I've always, when I worked before New York, I was always in graphic design, client services, presentation, like always design oriented things. And I worked in enough retail in my life to know how to talk to people. So that's sort of like.
Plan your own wedding, or you hired
No, I planned it all. And so like all of my girlfriends are architects, and so architecture, what's amazing is like, we're the jack of all trades. And historically you have to know everything, math, art, history, like, you know, like Roman times, like all through history, like there's so much that comes together to make architecture. And also, like my last year of undergrad, we designed a museum of human rights. And so I finally was like, screw the architecture books. I want to go explore things that have nothing to do with what makes like a physical object. And that was really the start. And so architecture school is also the most technical design degree, and it teaches a design process. And so that's really what I think I took out from that. And then the job at SOM in New York was really like, how do you handle big projects? How do you break it down? And like, how do you understand a really big scope? And then I went to University of Texas, got in there, and was going to do a PhD, you know, just for fun, just for shits and giggles, on Latin American architectural history and the US. And it's always been about translating. Super fascinating. No one's done anything still. I might go back. I don't know. I don't want to teach. There's no money in it. But I'm curious. I'm always learning. You'll learn this. You'll figure this out very quickly. But it was like the idea of translation. How do you translate cultural or like national identity into buildings? And so fast forward to like now, that's what I do, just in a different form. How do I translate someone's story, culture, traditions, everything into something that's appropriate right here? And I forget who said it, but it was like, it's not enough for us to like translate the Bible. The Bible into today doesn't work because it's two different contexts. What we need to do is bring those, like, why was it important? What's the basis of it? Into today, into like, let's pretend it's architecture. And so that same sort of thing exists within weddings and like my design and how we approach things. How do we take the traditions and the essence and what it's really trying to do and bring it into something that's meaningful for our clients and what matters to them today? So 1 year in, I was like blogging. I was like, I've always been a good student. And for the first time ever, I was at the back of the class, was not paying attention, was doing the bare minimum, like barely. And I was like, one of my professors was like, are you even paying attention? I was blogging. I was like blogging weddings. I was like, yeah. He's like, are you streaming it somewhere? I was like, no idea what you're talking about. Don't care. And quit after the first year. And my professor asked, he's just like, is this forever? And I was like, can I come back when I'm 50? Like, I'm down for it. But I think I'm good. Like, I think I'm done. And so that was in the end of 2011. And what was amazing is I never thought about like what would happen if it succeeded, or what would happen if I didn't think about like, hey, you're starting a business, you might want to plan something. It was like, we're just going to do it, and then we're going to figure out what to do next. And that's kind of honestly single-handedly the best. Like, don't overthink it. And that where it started and where I am today is very different points. But I started doing event design, florals, paper goods, all the design stuff, architect designing weddings. Let's just pretend that. And then fast forward to 2013.
It was in Texas or where?
I was in Austin, Texas. Yeah. So I started the company in Austin.
Great. I'm just wondering, because it's such a unique place for doing that.
It is. There's lots of people with lots of private property. So I have done a ton of ranch weddings. Like, if you need someone who talks about doing things outside of 4 walls of a regular venue, like, I'm your person. I can run you through everything from like, we had one wedding where like naughty, like bad horses got into the tent and like pooped. Or cows. I'm pretty sure it was the horses. They like came into the tent, and we came in and we're like, there's poop on the ground. And we're like, to the tent guys, you guys got to lock this. Like, you have to tie ropes, and you need to make sure everything's closed, because like they can't poop in the tent. And so they're having like a party in the middle of the night, being like, yes. It's just like things you're not thinking about. How secure is your tent? No, Texas is go for it.
But what do you think about Texas? Because like, I understand that at this point in California, you have all this like rustic, maybe boho like weddings. It's all this like very like hipster. And in Texas, I thought it's more countryside. It's maybe not so trendy.
but you're
well, it's I will say that people, so like I lived in Austin, which is like the liberal, which is like LA. People move from LA to Austin. There's like a pipeline. LA, Austin, New York. It's very like people leave those big cities and come to Austin. And Austin's like the weird, keep Austin weird. It's like the hipster town. Also as a Canadian, like as a foreigner in Texas, it's fascinating. It's a lot of history. There's a lot of family lineage that like goes back forever, and people own properties from like generations ago. And so it's kind of wild. It's really interesting to go there and then to learn like the history of it. But there's lots of land. It has a really good weather. Like for the most part, it's got a really extended wedding season. Nobody gets married in the summer, but like the rest of the year is game. And Austin, you definitely get the hipster weddings. And that because I was in Austin, I would get a lot of Dallas brides who didn't want like a traditional Southern big, I call them like big fancy weddings. They still want a big fancy wedding, but they don't want the status quo. They don't want it to look like all of their friends. So we're like a unique flavor within Texas. And then we have this experience of being able to build tents in the middle of nowhere and like put things on. So it was a great place to start the company, and gave me a lot of freedom. And like at the early time, like there wasn't a lot of competition. There's more now, but yeah. So I started the company Event Design, Just Design, and then 2012, 2013, I had my first client come in, and when they were talking, I was like, they need planning, and I need to offer that. And it's a totally different pricing strategy, and like it's just different. And so that was a 500 person wedding on private property at Lance Armstrong's old ranch. We had 30 buses. They had glamping. There was like, it was complex. And you know what's hysterical is that the New York architecture firm that I worked for used to have organization charts. And I realized one day, I was like, I need to design an org chart and give this to everyone and say, go find your person. Don't ask me questions. There are like teams. And so it was the first time that I built out very specific teams, and everyone had a hierarchy and they knew where to go and what's going on. And after that, to be blunt, I was like, we're good. 500 people, we're solid. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, so you jumped like.
Yeah, we went from designing flowers and pretty things to just like 500 people, and it was like, all right, let's do it. And that's where I think the New York experience and like understanding scale, both like on teams, but also in design, like how do you design for 500 people? You put two tables together and pretend that's one, because no one really likes to know that you're at table 57. Like that's not a number that makes you feel good, no matter how you do it. So we like tagged them up, and it was like two tables were like this, and how do you get 500 people to find their table? What escort card works? Something that people walk around. You can't have a point where people stop, because that's going to be a disaster. So yeah, it was like trial by fire. After that, everything's been super easy on the grand scale of things.
I can imagine after this kind of experience, I mean, everything what comes after is like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, when people are like, can you? And I was like, don't worry.
Yeah, I can.
And if I can't, I'll figure it out, and I will mop up the horse poop, and you won't know about it, and we'll be fine. And it's great.
And coming back to social media, can you tell us, like, how do you think, like, where are you?
Wait.
What? You have?
We are just in the middle of your story.
No?
Well, no, okay, so that was 2013, and I was going to be like, 4 years ago, I moved, so then I had a team, and it's been really interesting to watch, like, you know, when people you get a certain level of success, you're like, I need a team, and we need to have this big complex, and then at some point in time, it's like, what am I doing, and what is really, like, what do I really want to do? And I went through employees, and I mean, it's like a small business growing. Like you learn so much about being a boss and like how to manage employees and what really works. And then 4 years ago, I picked up and left and went to LA. And we did some weddings in New York, and was starting to kind of tow around with like let's spread our wings beyond Texas, because Austin is, in my mind, I'm not a small town girl. I'm a big city girl. I like to always explore. And so I personally moved to LA, and we got a couple weddings in California, but it's interesting because you jump into the pool of competing with all the California planners. So like I get an inquiry and I know who else is getting the inquiry. And so again, what I've learned is like the people that really resonate with our design and ethos, like they'll find us. And we're a very specific, you know, you're going to work so closely with me throughout the process that it's like, find the person you really want to work for. Like that's a thing. We got to work with Martha Stewart, which for all the North Americans was like, I had friends who were like begging, they're like, can I please be on the team at her house? And we've done, the other big claim to fame is, I'll say, like, we did a wedding for 400 people in Dallas in a backyard, but there was only a gate that was 7 feet wide that everything had to be hand carried through.
What? Oh,
so like normally we have trucks, we have semi trucks that like back into things, but I got there and I realized there's a creek in the back, so there's no access except for one gate on the side, and everything has to be hand carried from the road all the way down, and then like 250 feet further. Like it's a trek. And so logistically getting bathroom trailers through that is challenging. And like it was in January and it was cold and all that jazz. So
being like hand carried.
I mean, they have like dollies, but it's still like, it's a different thing for a truck being able to back in and you just like dump it off the back versus like bringing everything there and then everything back. So no, I'll say it started with the 500 person wedding, and ever since then I was like, we've just been planning weddings. Yeah, we're just on the road. It's cool. We're like ready to go.
Wow.
Lots of mistakes, lots of mess ups, you know, like plenty of learning lessons. But yeah, it's I'll say owning your own business is like the best lesson, the best teacher. I don't have kids, but I could imagine it's like having a child who teaches you lots of lessons. So yeah.
And you still getting involved in like planning process, or you have this like huge team?
Oh, I don't have a team at all. I mean, I work more as like an agency now, where it's like I pull people on as we need, because I found myself, we were like spinning our wheels just to pay for everyone's salary. And it was like it was over leveraging us in a way that wasn't making any sense. And so I was like, how do I build a company? And this is where I am now. How do I build a company that can be remote, that all of us, maybe I have 2 people in LA, I have someone on the ground in Austin, I have people on the East Coast, we've all worked together, but why does it matter? And I actually believe this is like where society or the world or much of what all of us work as, like, does it matter, and why does it matter for all of us to be physically in one spot? Are there other ways of working that allow us the flexibility and freedom to do that? And that, like, I have 2 clients right now who it doesn't even faze them. One of them are on planes. If it wasn't right now, they're on planes like every week to multiple places. They're rarely in Los Angeles. So why does it, you know, like, they're the perfect example of like, they live their lives working digitally and remotely and in offices and not, and like, just, so it doesn't matter. And as long as we meet up in Santa Fe, New Mexico, when we need to, that's it. And so I have an agency that comes together, or like people, and I have amazing freelancers, floral, decor, production, planning, lots of people that I bring in, and we've all worked together for years. And so it's like getting the family back together, and they know how we work, and there's like a process behind the scenes on onboarding people and when do they come in the process. And so yeah, it's not a big team, and I don't want a big team, to be honest. Like, you're forced to do, it necessitates you having to do a certain amount of work just to like cover bills, and that it wasn't feeling good for me. And so actually right now I have a book coming out July 7th, and then I'm doing like a educational component, and I'm going to be doing a podcast on like the same sort of thing, that I was like, there's something about how do I share my knowledge in a bigger way. So part of it is like, online or in-person retreats for business owners, especially like abroad, that kind of look at the US and are like, how do we get up to speed, so to speak? But a lot of it is like, how do I share all of the things that I know? And the book is it's called The Little Book of Wedding Checklists. But the most interesting part, one, it's not gendered. It's not pink. It's not aimed at women reading it only. Congrats, we're finally in 2020. And then two, the content is like, what questions do I ask and that I think couples planning weddings should know? And so what's interesting, what I didn't realize is like a lot of what's written comes from like educational resources like The Knot and other things like that. But Mindy Weiss is really one of the only other planners that has something like this, but like,
She has a book, right? So
she has some books that she's got more than one book. But like to come from a wedding planner, and then these are the questions that I ask like this, that I think you should know to ask caterers to get equal bids, because one person is showing you one thing, one person is showing you another, and you wouldn't know. But if I got that, these are all the questions that I would ask. And so what's amazing is the content is really like, these are questions and this is advice that I haven't seen in like the internet or, you know, blog posts, and people can find it, but like it's in a little, here it is. I was like, wait, I have it.
wow. So you have a sample of your book?
I have.
Oh,
There it is.
so cool.
It's cute. It's not even that big. It's supposed to like fit in your purse. And yeah, it's not pink. So congrats. People who are not women, I mean, even women who don't like pink, like finally.
So you will distribute it in America, yeah?
It's, you know, what's funny is it's on Amazon, and I was approached. So the publishing company did like data research on what people are looking for and what they're not finding. I find this fascinating. I don't understand it. And so they really built everything out from that. And I have tons of family and friends in Canada. And so everyone was like, is it in Canada? And I was like, I don't know. So they got it in Canada. So I laugh because I'm like, I mean, technically we could probably get this in other places. I just have to ask and be like, hey, there's people that are interested. I don't think it's that impossible. But I also want to incorporate an expanded version of this because it's pretty short. And there's a lot more where I share like our documents on how we do, like literally here's an Excel spreadsheet on guest lists, on payment information, on videos explaining what's written in here, because there's more to each of these than I could write. But that's like another part. So back to my staff, I was like, I have different needs, and I want the flexibility to bring people in for projects as those projects come in. And it's always changing. So it gives me, yeah, I mean, and it's like, it makes tons of sense because like creative agencies, like so many people operate like that why it allows people who are working for me to be like, if they're good and they want to move on, or like we're not tied into anything. And so if someone's doing a really good job, they get invited back. If someone's slacking off and it's not a good fit, you have a time frame. Obviously, you know, that's just like the nature of hiring, and like, is it the right place for all of us? And how do we have some flexibility in that? So.
But how can you like keep yourself like, inspired? Because like you're doing it for such a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like artistic job, but still like it's a job, and everybody wants like maybe like the same.
At some point, maybe you have a feeling that all the same.
Yeah.
I'm so excited, but for you, it's like one more couple.
It's, to be honest, like I get really jazzed about each of them, and that's like every person that I work with, every couple that we work with is so different that even though we have kind of like an overarching style, it's what they want is different. And so that's where it's like I really look to them and their specificities even within them, and like their family and what they want, that it's new. And I also like going back to architecture, learning to like, I don't really pay attention to wedding world. Like I don't, there's like, I went to engage in Dubai and they showed us a whole bunch of people from all the Middle East and like Philippines. There was like incredible designers that I was like, wow, that's like, and I'm picky and like, it's hard to like make me, but I was like, there's so many people doing really incredible work, but I also really love, like, I love fashion. I love architecture. I love art, travel. Like, I'm always looking for combination of colors and materials and things like that that just get me excited. And so it comes down to like, what's my own process to keep me curious? And really it's the curiosity that from business, like, how does my business be better? How can I help other people? How can I share this? That, and yeah, honestly, it's like, if I get to a point where it's like, I don't want to see that anymore, then it's, the onus is on me to change it and to do work that I want to see, I want other couples to see, or to create it out of nothing. But my experience, like, funny, because it's like one of the last questions of like, what do you see the trends? Our clients, what comes out of their mouth even more focused and detailed right now is about how much they want their guests to have an incredible time and what that looks like. Mm-hmm. So they're very focused on, so while there's an aesthetic, like it will have to look like something, mm-hmm. It is so focused right now on what the experience is that we deal with all of that before we even get to the design. Mm-hmm. And so, and that's shifted, like a lot of it depends. There are clients who come in with a very clear vision, but what's been interesting to hear is the shift into like, we've all been to a bunch of weddings, we've all seen things, we all want blah, 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 but it's like, I want this to be, they're very aware of their guest experience and they want that to be really incredible.
Yeah, because more it's about emotions, right? You see all this beautiful like decorations, flowers, whatever, but you like what actually you remember after like a long time is like, oh, who did I see, how fun was it, or somebody was drunk and I don't know, like I don't know, just fell down or whatever. I mean, like mm-hmm.
That's like many couples say that it's mostly done for our guests rather than for us.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why it's
absolutely. And at the end of the day, like what I realize is it's the same. Architecture just sets the stage, mm-hmm. and then it only comes alive through people, mm-hmm. through the human experience. That's where there's a difference of a photograph of a beautiful space with no one and a beautiful space with people using it. They're two different energies. Even when I was working in architecture, the difference was palpable. And so I just create environments and then build like, architecture always talks about like the path unfolding. So it's like how the guest experience unfolds throughout the night and their entire time. And what do they meet? What does that look like? What does it smell like? Where do they go next? Is it logical? Is it hard? Who do they meet? What does it look like? How does it smell? All that stuff, like what is that evolution and what can be fun and like surprising or interesting, or like, what do they want it to feel like? And I've had like, I'm in touch with so many clients and like, I know that these are the stories that they tell around like Thanksgiving dinner. Like we're part of building those memories. Mm-hmm. And that's amazing. It's like really incredible. So
yeah, that's cool. I mean, like this is such an unusual job in general. Like
yeah, I'm flabbergasted still that I'm like in the wedding industry, but it's also like the perfect place. Like it's just the best. Gives me so much freedom, and I get to meet so many incredible people and interesting people and get to go to like really interesting places that it works very well. I just didn't realize it when I happened to be making a company. So
shift from working as a like architecture to
mm-hmm.
planner, and it's such a unique background for the wedding planner, I would say.
Yeah. But I love the connection about like the design, about how can you see like the space. Yeah,
I've had like mentors explain, and because it's just natural, it's like how my brain works, but they're like, it's really unique. It's unusual to have someone with an architecture, because I can see spaces before they even happen. I see it fully fleshed out, and I can anticipate how does this look? Like, it might look good from this angle, but what does it really look like? And like, and what are the different things that we can pull in that then really create the experience? So yeah, I don't know if there's many others. Secretly, I want to talk to architecture students and be like, psst, hey guys, there's this other thing that's, the timeline is way shorter. It's not 10 years to build an airport. It's like 2 weeks to build something really big, or like a day. And you get to see it come to light, and it's super gratifying, and it's, but it uses everything that we do. So
time lapse. Yeah, time lapse.
Do you have actually some kind of videos or time lapse?
I do not yet. I have tried, and then it's like at one point in time, like the draping covers the camera, and then I was like, forget about it. Like, I can't even, I need to hire like a videographer to just like babysit the camera.
You know,
I've tried. I'm like, this is.
I would love to see that, like this, like transformation from like, for example, like the clean lawn to like the whole tent.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. And the wedding we did at the Four Seasons in Santa Barbara, we tried, and then the draping covered it, and I was like, never mind, we can't. And the tents are always interesting, but I need to hire someone specifically just to like man that. I was like, you just figure it out. Let me know.
Yeah, you're responsible. Yeah. You know what I'm wondering, like everyone has his own story, and you kind of, I feel that you have a great background, great education, and I mean, it's also destiny how you jump into the wedding industry, but still you have like, even in the very beginning, you have a really great understanding how you will attract your clients, how you will manage the communication, how you like build your brand, maybe not for the all details, but at least you know that it is important. So could you please like share a little bit more about this personal brand building, because you were definitely aware of it?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's always been that way, but I definitely had an awareness of the importance of like branding and marketing, and like how to kind of, I feel like it's like the PR part of like, how do you package something together that is cohesive, and it's storytelling. Like, it comes down to like, how do you tell the story? What words are used? What images are used? How does this get presented? And it's funny because it's like, it's hard to teach. It's also like, I'll say the one thing of like people thinking about starting them, it's like, it's going to evolve. So I think that we get stuck on like, it needs to be perfect, or it needs to be really like accurate. And the one thing that I can say looking back is like 70 or 80% is better than zero. Like, don't procrastinate on like wanting to get it right because you want to get your right. Like, I literally threw a website together before something got published, like threw it together because, and like a logo, like I just like put it together because I'm like, something has to be there when this gets published, or else I'm missing out on something. It doesn't have to be the perfect final thing. It just has to be good enough for now. And I can evolve that through time. And even now where it's like, I need a new website, but like, I'm not getting there. And so how do I just make do with what I have right now and update it and adjust things and know that eventually it will evolve to the next stage? But like, it doesn't have to be, you know, a lot of the time, even I've thought like, I can't update things because it's not perfect and I need a new website. And I was like, screw it. Just do what you can, do what I can now, so that, and the next stage will eventually show itself. But like, to that wanting to like have like a perfect tight brand and like everything, like all this. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn that I never give out my business cards. They're beautiful. They never go anywhere. You know, like, or there's other things where it's like people find me on social media or other places. And it was like 80% is better than zero, hoping for 100, you know, like, and so that's the part where it's like, I think you will learn, and you'll also trial by error. You'll figure out what people don't care about. Fascinating. There's like a random, here's for the business owners. There's a company called hotjar.com, Hotjar. There's other ones that record people on your website and what they use and what they look at. So if you go to your portfolio page, you can figure out which ones people click on and which nobody cares about. So then you can kind of like, and then within that, you can kind of start to look at like, what do people really gravitate towards? And the marketing part is like, give them more of that. People love flowers. People love table settings. As a planner, nobody really cares so much about like beautiful portraits of the couple. Unfortunately, they want to know what I can do to transform a space. So it was like, you give them more of what they're looking for versus like what I think and what we think people should have. It was like, no, you look at like what they're looking for and you do more of that. So
more tables,
more place settings, more flowers, you know, like that's what, for me, that's 100% what sells or like what gets a lot of engagement.
That's really good. But what do you think, what is essential for a wedding planner, or I mean like in general for every professional, for every artist? Because like they always stuck, then it comes to like show their work. So you work a lot, but then you need to show it, you need to tell about it, you need to kind of brag a little bit about it. So I'm so cool, I did that and that. Or what do you think is essential? It's more like social media, then you need to publish it, you need to, or it's more about advertisement in like blogs or magazines?
All publications are going to kill me, and you guys might kill me, but I have not had a high return on investment. There's been very little ROI when I have advertised with companies. Fact of the matter. My clients don't find me that way. So it might be different for different people, but you can try stuff out. If it doesn't work, stop doing it. Stop hoping that it's going to change. Just stop it. Like you can, and that's where like you kind of have to play around. What's really important, there's a woman called Lynn Stevens, Liene Stevens, who writes.
I keep writing down whatever.
I know, she's splendid. I have so many good ones. Also, Sean Lowe, which is The Business of Being Creative. Brilliant. Very thinking, like good stuff to think about as an artist. And how do you be creative and make it a business? But Lynn writes a lot, and this is one of your questions of like, do you think blogs are dead? And like, is it just Instagram? What if Facebook just shuts down Instagram tomorrow? And then what do you do?
I will go on YouTube.
I mean, yeah, but it's like, it's, how do you, and I think it's indicative, like, it's the same analogy, like right now in the US and like the racial, like everything that's happening collectively, there's the option of like, I'm going to do so much right now. And it was like, okay, no, what's the long-term slow strategy? Plan for the marathon. Plan. And so for me, it's an, like, do a little bit in all of them. Blogging. And so Lynn talks about, she's like, your website is the only thing is the house you own. No one can take that away from you. YouTube could shut down, Facebook, everything, all of that could go. And then where are you left? Secretly, I'm excited for the day Instagram shuts down and all the like influencers like suddenly have nothing. Like they're like, what?
They will be jobless.
Yeah. Someone like hacks Instagram and just shuts it down, and then you're like, so now what do we do?
Desperate bloggers will be out there on the street.
Yeah.
But it's building your website with like really good backend, like SEO, search engine optimization. It's blogging. The mastermind that I've been doing, we've been talking a lot about this because most of us write about like pretty weddings, and they're like, they're all pretty, but like, I'm tired. What do I say about that? And so for our business owners, this is interesting, and I'm actually excited about it. Write about like what challenges popped up and how you answered them. So florists and designers could be easier. You find a floor plan that doesn't work, or it's indoors and outdoors, and how did you connect them? Or how did you make a small space feel bigger? What were the challenges? Florists, what did you do at the ceremony and why? What did you do here? Assume that someone who's reading it doesn't know what a boutonniere is, doesn't know what pampas grass is. Like, we assume that we know, we use all these terms, but like, go down to the most simple denominator. Be an educator. Like, our businesses are education, unfortunately. Everyone always complains. They're like, all I do is teach. And I was like, well, they don't know. And so it's our job to explain what we did and why we did it. And show and not simultaneously, like for photographers, tell them about the dark interior space. Show the photos that you figured it out. Tell them the top 3 things that they could do to do X, Y, and Z, or 3 things to think about when they're looking at venues, or how to time their ceremony. Share knowledge that is so intuitive to us and is like, of course, the story is important, but like, no, like people who are doing their research on vendors, they want to know that you're really good and very experienced at like handling all the curveballs. So talk about the curveball. Go for it.
Sir, what do you think? Is it better to do it in Instagram or it's better to do in a website? Like
website? I mean, here's the thing, you can do both. So you could pull, I love this. I was like, it's like business chats with Liz. So you're gonna do. I mean, I should. Like business chats. I just got this, and I was like, oh, this is what we're gonna do. Do a bit in both. So when you go on Instagram, you can do like a little tidbit, and maybe you do like a 3-post photo series of the same wedding, and you either tease little bits specific about this one, whatever image is up. Talk to something there. You can say, hey, I've either got a blog post, or this Friday I've got more, or I'm posting more. Keep in touch, or whatever you want to do. But you need to be writing it in your blog, because there are analytical brains that are going to go deep diving into your blog. People want to go like, and I do it before I hire business people, I like read up everything. I am your like personal Russian spy of like if you need to know anything on anyone, I'm your girl. Not everyone does that, but like there are a lot of people, and the other thing is to realize there's different buyers. So there might be the bride who's only interested in pretty things. Her fiance who might be paying for it is like, who are these people, and like, do I want to pay that much? Her mom could be like, oh, 3 tips on how to make Mother's the Bride look great. Awesome. You know, like there's so many different things that it's like you need to share your expertise and realize like in different levels, there's different buyers, and they will vet you out. They should. They don't, then whatever. But like, and I think it just like reinforces that you know what you're talking about, versus like, it was pretty in the fields and the wind was blowing. Great. Awesome. I'm a very poetic writer. I can write beautiful stories. People want to know like why I'm good and why I charge what I charge. And that's because horses poop in your tents and you need to close your you need to rope it off. Or like,
that's a great experience.
Or, you know, do lighting things and figure out if the lighting cord, like lighting rigs, catch on fire the night before. Do that before. So all of those things happen, and you're like, yeah, by the way, this is something you want to think about. But do you guys follow Gary Vee? If you don't, he's like he's an American. Gary Vee, he's very much business. So he's going to be a business guy. Roman, you'd probably love him. Guys love him. I love him. Gary Vee, Garyvee.
VEE.
Oh, okay.
His parents immigrated from Belarus, I think. So he's got the like American immigrant. But what he says is he's like, make one piece of content and then pull it apart to 7 different applications. So you could do your YouTube video. You pull it out as a blog post. You expand on it. Then you can pull it out on Instagram quotes. You can do you can pull pieces and share it, and so then it's not like you're not having to write all the things.
Exactly.
I feel like we need to think about our interviews. So how to
Please don't forget to send the link for the guy. Don't forget to send the link.
For the nettle, or I mean, there's so many things now. No, I can share. This is great. It was like, does Liz want to start talking? I was like, absolutely.
I really want to buy your book at this. Like, I already wrote it down.
Yeah.
I'll ask you to send us the link.
Yeah, take a picture of it.
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, it's so pretty.
Wait.
I don't know. Hold on a second.
Because it will be our teaser.
Yeah. Okay.
Teaser.
Yeah. We will recommend this book for everybody.
Thank you. Well, and I got really excited because the digital course, I was like, I could start translating it to different languages. And I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant.
Yeah. We can help you with translation to Russian.
I know. And I was like, oh, and then we could go through, and I'm sure that there's different cultural bits like on things, but I was like, I'm excited. So anyways, okay. We haven't even gotten through. No, use your website, write on your blog, please, everyone. Build that up, because I like secretly think I was like, we should have a whole other podcast where we just talk about like super business. It was like, you got the intro, Liz, and then we'll like dive into the business stuff. Cause there's a lot and it can be overwhelming, but again, plan the marathon, incorporate. There's a trainer here in the US that's like, instead of saying I need to eat better, just add more vegetables to your diet. Okay. You will slowly eat better purely because you're adding in, and I can eat less ice cream because of it. So instead of being like, I can't eat ice cream, it was like, just eat more vegetables and nettle infusions. So,
and it's going to balance itself at some point.
It will. No, because it's totally overwhelming. And honestly, right now, I had all the intention of like acing everything and just coming to terms with being like, I'm just doing the best I can right now. And there are things that will keep moving along and I'll get there when I get there. But to be aware and like, it's a long-term game. But I think it's super important to develop your blog, your own personal blog and your website and Pinterest. But
and YouTube, everything.
Yeah, I know. But also like what the final, like one of the best lines that I'll say is, I've had a mindset change where I start to challenge myself. The things that I think are going to be hard and take a long time, like YouTube and all this stuff feels like, oh God, there's so much stuff.
Yeah.
What if it's not that hard? And what if it's not that complicated? And what if it doesn't take that much time? Just what if? Maybe it still does take all that time. But what if it doesn't? Because me going in thinking it's going to take a really long time and be hard and blah, blah, blah.
It's not going to take.
It will make that. But if it's like, but what if this inspiration board isn't hard, easy, or like hard and time consuming and shocking? Those ones aren't long and they aren't time consuming. I was like, oh, so.
I think you just summarized the opportunistic approach. It is.
I know, right? There you go. Like,
you're the best example of opportunistic approach. And could you like tell a little bit more about this mastermind?
Yeah.
Because
sure. We're going to do an international, we should do like a Russian mastermind. Hi, Leandra, 11 a.m. on Fridays. So I started it because someone mentioned it last March in Mexico. Oh, super quick answer to the question of like, what do you think is the best networking? Engage conferences. It's a chunk of money. It's a huge investment.
So you recommend it, like, to go on there?
Definitely. It took me forever, and I'm really glad that I went, mostly because it's expanded and exposed me to people that I wouldn't normally meet. And the international ones, the one in Dubai was incredible. And to meet such a diverse range of people is like, I love it. Masterminds. I heard about it at the December Engage, and I was like, I want a mastermind. And I was like, who's doing one? And I was trying to get a group together, but I'm just like, I don't want to be the leader. Like, I want someone to lead me. And then I realized I've done a bunch of like emotional, it's fully like, you know, North American woo-woo stuff, emotional intelligence and like leadership training programs. And I've coached them. Nobody really knows about this in the wedding world. It's just something that I've done on my own on the side because I'm curious and I see the value for me and my clients in my business. And then I realized I was like, I've been the leader. I can lead this. This is actually something that I know that I will do. I will work that much harder if I'm leading it. So then I put it together in February and was like, screw it, let's do this. And I have a group of 7 wonderful ladies, didn't mean it, all men are invited. We had a couple guys, but they just didn't pull the trigger. And it was supposed to be 4 months. This is great. I could totally come to Russia. I was like, we could have meetups. It's going to be awesome. I'll have an international one. Supposed to be 4 months, and we have like a weekly call. And 2 of them are kind of just like roll calls that, what are you doing? What are you working on? What do you need help with? Bringing in experts. And then we have like a 4th week of either like homework or things we're all working on. The schedule went to hell because we entered a pandemic, and it was supposed to end in like next week actually, but and it ends with like an in-person thing. And I was like, we're not ending this until we see everyone in person. So we're extending it through September, but I have plans on doing like maybe twice a year, 6 month long or like 5 months with like 2 in-person things, or maybe 3, like a kickoff, a middle, and an end, because there's a lot of value in like being in the same room. And that really fleshing out, like there's different components of like the business aspects. So like SEO, copywriting, ads, like there's mindset stuff like that I can totally coach on. And there's a lot of really things, you know, it's the same as like, what if it's not that hard and what if it's not that complicated? Like that's just like a small thing that's super easy to do, but like we don't think about it. And our businesses, I will say, this has been my biggest teacher. Like it is like a child. And when you're like, how do you stay inspired? I was like, I wanted to throw the baby off a cliff. There was a period that I wanted nothing to do with this business. I have since fallen in love with the child who's now like a 10-year-old, and we have like a great, much better relationship, but know that that's going to happen, and that what our businesses are amazing teachers. And for us to realize like there's the like what we're doing for our clients, but it's teaching us, and our businesses are asking us of like for things and like to grow and to learn, that it's like it's a multifaceted, you know, like it's not just ads and how to make more money. It's like we're learning, it's teaching us, our clients are teaching us, and there's a much bigger view that we can take this as, that if you can like settle in and like relax into it, is really amazing. So yeah, she's a sassy 10-year-old, like this business of mine. She's got like opinions, but she does, definitely does.
Is it she?
It is a she. It's always a she for the most part. Yeah. She's a slave. Actually, no, she complains that I'm a slave driver. And I was like, that's accurate. That's accurate.
But you know, the treat that parents usually loves their kids more than kids love back. This is the trick.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's also to look back and like really realize like what I've been able to accomplish, and like not even accomplish, but like where I've gone, who I've been able to meet, how incredible the wedding community is. Like it's really something that like humbles me and like inspires me a lot to see like we're all badasses, and our jobs are not easy, and they're grueling, and they're long hours, and they require a lot. But it's also like we get to create memories for families, and we get to create really like we get to create the space that they show their wedding videos to their toddlers or to their grandchildren, or their photos are up, you know, your photos are up in someone's dining room, and like their grandkids one day will look at that, and like that's what we're doing. And so while advertising and all, it's like, how do we make more people be able to find you for that? Because that's the heart of it. It's the same as like the heart of an event is the memories and the stories and the experience. Everything else is window dressing. That, I mean, you want to put on clothes. Needs to wear some form of clothes. So it needs to look, you know, pretty, whatever that looks like, but it's so many layers. So yeah. I'll do an international mastermind. That would be awesome. Let's do an European.
Awesome.
And we
It's
will
really
love
awesome
to be a part of it.
As you know, you're a great teacher, and yeah, you already answered my question that you are coaching people, because I saw that you definitely need to do it, even if
No, this would be amazing. That would be great. Well, thanks for answering my question. The God, universe, or whatever you believe in, always like brings you like little plates of cookies, and like this right now is like total excellent plate of cookies, where I was like, oh, well then we can pick like where we want to meet up. We can do it somewhere awesome. So
yeah, charisma, yeah, it drives. It really drives.
Yeah. We were waiting for the next
the invitation. Yeah, no, I'll definitely, that would be amazing. Anyways, maybe it's up in Vancouver. This is the other thing, is like there's something about, I want to like bring people here. There's like really beautiful like nooks and crannies that people just don't know about. And
to work on our visa, because like for Russians, it's actually like to get in Canada is much more difficult than get into United States.
Fascinating.
We need some.
We can also totally go to Italy. Like I have no qualms. Italy, Greece, like where do we want to go? Like pretty much it's just like, where do you want to go? It could be part of like the intro questionnaire. Like, where do you think we should?
Yeah. Italy is nice.
Yeah.
I wish start day with prosecco. They all start their day with prosecco.
or
Yeah,
Aperol,
it's so much Italian. Yeah.
I drank so many espressos, and like nobody drank water. Nobody drinks water. Like, and I went to Paris afterwards, and I remember being like, I need water. Like, I need water. Like, I can't. My head is exploding. So, yeah. No, I would love that. I feel like deeply called to just like teach and share, because there's so much in it. And I want all of us to, you know, just like be in the era that we're right now, and like it's changing, and I've just been like absorbing things and learning stuff, and it's time to put all those together and then bring it to I know.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
There's dance parties. There's always dance parties with me. That should be a requirement too. It's like, I'm joining, but I'm willing to dance on computer screens, because some people it's like a thing.
I'd love to join just for dances, just for the.
I mean, actually, so the group that I have right now, we have like there's like one girl that's like an EDM, like electronic dance music fan. Another one was like a competitive salsa player. Another one teaches jazzercise. Like there's like, we all have this like music thing underneath. And I was like, that makes me so happy. So yeah, the right people end up finding me. So.
I know, you need your special mastermind playlist. You know?
Yeah.
It will be so cool. Like, on top, like cherry on top, as you say it in America.
Oh my God. You know what? That's brilliant. I have a friend of mine he lives in LA, who's actually hands down the best DJ I've ever met. He's unfortunately retired, although secretly I need to hire him for my high school reunion just one more time. But Michael he's like, I get goosebumps every time he plays. So I was like, actually, that would be awesome.
He lives in LA?
He's in LA. He actually owns, there's a bunch of things. He's running a venue. He's got 2 venues. He's an amazing business guy. Like, this is a man who's one of the few people that I tremendously respect, and he's always on the move, and he's always got ideas. He's got impeccable taste, and he knows marketing and branding too. He's like, he knows it. So we're like similar in that, and he's just an incredible DJ. I'm like so sad he's not for hire, but I'm like, I'm gonna pay you a lot of money one day to come out of retirement to like play for me. So any other questions? I mean, there's so many things to go over, but
speaking of, can you tell us a little bit more about networking? What do you recommend for people who just started their path, like in the wedding industry, or they want to expand it?
It's interesting because it's like planners are one thing and like everyone else is another. And I will say, as a planner who gets lots of emails from random people I don't know,
yeah,
the best way, and I was like, that is like cold calling people. Anyone who's made a cold call knows how well the percentage of success rate is. It's very low. Please stop sending me random emails, because I don't know you. Here's the blunt. I don't trust you. I don't really like, I don't know why I should pay attention. Mm-hmm. And the thing to do is engage with us on social media, show us that you exist, and like leave comments, start conversations, respond to things. Also instead of like picking like a huge, it's like when you apply for jobs, instead of sending out resumes to like 3,000 people that are all the same and it's not customized, pick your top 10 and cultivate relationships with them. And that's through conversation. That's through, for photographers, the best way for me is to offer to do like personal shoots, whether it's like portraits or like social media photography. It allows us to work together in a way that's pretty low stakes, and that you can like that's what I personally like. And I was like, and I'm conflicted because I believe everyone deserves to be paid, but if you want to get your foot in the door, it's the best way to do it. But like pick your top 10 and make it's like make it a slow marathon plan to engage with them and develop a friendship and relationship with them. Because if you just send me an email, I was like, I love you, but like, I have no idea why I should pay attention. And then I go to your Instagram and I'm like, we got to talk about that, you know? And also like, it's always like, you know, when you send an email, like a resume out, and if you can talk about the business and something specific and why, or show that you've been following me or something personal, and I didn't just get the email that you sent to everyone, that's the best way. In-person networking, I'm not great at. I travel and I meet people when I can, but like, I don't go to those networking things. It totally overwhelms me and scares the shit out of me. But I do. I was like, not fun. I'm always better on a one-on-one basis. So I'll say that was really effective is meeting Shira, who used to work for Martha Stewart, and I was going to New York, and I reached out and I was like, can we grab coffee? Same with like carrots and cake. Like I've done that, and I'm good in that sense because it's less of it's just a more intimate way to engage. And so honestly, I prefer that. But like, in order to get there, for other vendors, if there's people that you want to work with, develop the rapport. It's all relationships. So it's like if you were to go on to someone on the street and like get in their face and be like, hey, can I like literally go to dinner with you tonight? You're like, wait, what? Why?
Yeah.
No? Or like, can I move in with you? And you're like, why should I? No. But engage has been really, you know, conferences I think are really valuable. But I'm also really particular on content. And I never know, like I've gone to the Not MBA and you know, there's one that was super valuable, but like it was really big. There's smaller ones that are helpful. It just depends on what you, and actually here's the question is like, what is it that you want to get out of whatever you're doing? Is it just more people? Everyone obviously wants more business, but like if everyone wants more business, how do you put that aside and say like, if I develop the relationship, the business will follow? Because we can read, everyone can read when someone's like, I want money behind all their actions. You can tell, and you're like, and I'm super stubborn. And I was like, well, now I'm definitely not going to give it to you because I can tell, and it's not authentic. But if it's like, I don't need anything from you, but I'm meeting you because like, I like your work, or you're curious, or I want to ask more questions about your international mastermind and castles. Oh my God, I love this. All my friends are going to be like, can I come and help? And I was like, are you paying your way? So yeah, put new clients and stuff like that aside, but it's like develop relationships. Who are the people you want to work with? Personality wise, what are they doing? What does their lives look like? What really gels? Is it creative stuff? Is it not? And that's the best kind of way, I think. Yeah. That's how I'll pay attention.
Yeah, you speak a lot about focus. Yeah, rather than spraying and praying, like I send out.
Yeah, no, that's a bad idea. Like that's just no good.
Focus, and then to do research, and then like to reach out.
Show me that you've done your research, and I'm not just some random person you send an email to, because that doesn't make anyone feel. It's the same as when clients send us an email saying they love our work, and then we never hear from them again. And I was like, oh, you wrote that email to everyone. Yeah, no, I don't want to give you. It is harder to work with. Like it doesn't make it's a relationship. It's a friendship. Yay.
I have a question about relationship. For example, you know, sometimes I work with some agencies, and I fell in love with the person who run this agency. And afterwards, I did my job. We connected via Instagram, and sometimes I want to share my, my love, but afraid that the person who I really love, and it's enough word to describe. I'm really love. I'm afraid that she or he might think that I want new weddings or new stuff from her, and that's why I'm texting. But I hate it. I don't like to give somebody feeling that I want to use him or how to do it
literally we could do Liz's like love, like I could just do like relationship calls for the wedding industry. This would be great. One, be honest. You can totally say that. I'm scared that like I want to let like I want to like but I don't want you to think that I'm just like, be honest. Say like, I don't want it to come across that way, but I really loved working with you. And I think if you're authentic and genuine, it comes through. And that part is truly, I like love. I was like, let's work with the Russian culture. All right. You could like, it's like, there's like a hesitation to like really express, there's just like, there's a holding back. I'm Canadian too. Don't worry. We're like very like polite and like contained. But be honest, and you could name all your fears or like list that and say, but I really wanted to let you know that I loved working with you. And it really made my day, or like whatever. I sent a note to a friend of mine that I met in Dubai where I was just like, girl, I just want to let you know, like she like carries such like light and grace and wisdom. And I was like, and I just want you to know, like, it's appreciated. It's like, I see it. And I really like, I just want to like say like, way to go. Like it's not anything that she does. It's just like this energy. And for someone, we're literally moving into like, this is like human development, where it's like the ability for someone to be seen by us and appreciated for who we are is more valuable than gold. For me to say like, I loved like your calm demeanor, the fact that you danced or you laughed, or like I high five people all the time where it was like, thank you. But like, it's like, I see you. That's for me, that's like one of the hearts and like part of relationship. But yeah, just be honest. You can be like, and I don't want this to come across as like, I want more work. Couldn't care less if I never got a piece of work ever again. Just want to say thank you. It was awesome. And like, I really like that. We feel.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let me know how that goes.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. Sometimes when I read the comments below the agency's posts, or maybe below the best photographers or etc., and it's full of love. All of them like, oh my God! Especially when photographer comments in agency work, it's like stunning, amazing, tremendous, and all of that comments are the same. And when I want share my love, when I want to say the same, as you told me, to be honest, I'm every time thinking that looks like everybody do the same. And I don't...
You could always just DM them that post and write them a personal note. It doesn't have to be public. And Gary V, my man, Gary, I don't listen to many podcasts. He's one of the few ones. Talks a lot about like, give more, like respond. Don't just say like love, like, oh my God, amazing, beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Like respond in a different way. Say something different. Figure something else out, or like, I love how blah, 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 blah. I don't know, like, or ask a question. Do it in a different way. And like I totally understand what you're saying, but you could also just like direct DM them and just be like, I love how, that matters, that it's like someone took the time. And don't underestimate bots that automatically post shit like that. So
yeah, I think thank you very much for that answer. I think it will be very interesting for all Russian photographers who comment.
Right? Exactly. They're gonna be amazing, beautiful, awesome. We love that. But it's like walking up to every one of your friends and just saying like, amazing, beautiful. There's a level, I will say this, there's a level of like wanting deeper connections, deeper friendships, and deeper relationships. And I'm incapable of doing small talk. Like I can sort of, but like, we're going to get into like all of this no matter who I talk to. So those people that don't want to do it, don't really find me. But there's like an opportunity for us to like delve deeper and like comment and respond deeper, and just like have more, instead of just going through the motions, like have more to say than that. So
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's do it, everybody.
Let's do everybody. Thank you so much. I think that we are,
Thank
yeah.
you very much.
Yeah, no, can you imagine? I'm totally sober too. Can you imagine? No, I love dance parties.
That was so cool. I mean, I have no questions. Maybe I have like thousands, but it's mostly...
We can do a follow-up. I'm so curious. I'll be like really fascinated as to what everyone has to
I mean,
say.
right now I'm so down for like the mastermind. I
Yeah.
can't wait for it. I'm gonna write like
I love that. That's really, I'm super excited. I'll have to figure out timing and like what we can do, but I love, there is an aspect of like sharing what I know from operating in the US and then bringing it outside. Because my sense is like everyone watches the US, and even as a Canadian, it's like absolutely.
That's true.
But then being there and then learning and like being in the culture of what happens there and then bringing it elsewhere, because there's a lot of good stuff and then there's a lot of not great stuff. So it's like, let's take their best practices and like apply it where we are.
But what I find cool in your approach, you can in an easy way to share, you know, rather than saying all the stuff, like it is not mixed. You like make a bullet points, and from something which is complicated,
Yeah.
you make the like very structured
Thanks.
with some like really great logic behind. Yeah, I mean, this is I particularly loved it.
Thank you.
Business person, yeah.
I love it. No, I'll have to figure out the mastermind. And I do want to incorporate something that's like in person, because I think that all of us are starved for it, right? Like we're like, please, anyone, anything. Yeah. No, it's definitely on the docket. And thank you for inviting me to do it on an international component. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Thank you
for
because like yeah.
being
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
At this point, I feel myself so happy that
We
you
feel like this.
Yes, you answered. But
I love that. I know, right? It's like, and then there's the wedding planner that it was like, yeah, you're gonna get, you know, dancing one.
I would definitely want to meet you like in person. I don't care where in Italy.
Yeah. Well, I have to pick up all my furniture sometime in a storage unit, and I think it'll probably be September if like I can get back to Canada without having to do another 2-week quarantine. We'll have to see. But yeah, I need to go down and like collect my shit.
We'll be here before
That's Hollywood.
That's
Well, no, and then I can give you, I'll have to send me an email and I'll send you like some of my favorites of like places and just like places to explore, because there's some really good spots. So.
Yeah.
And
don't forget to send all these links that you told us about the guys.
Did you guys take notes? It was like nettle infusion. Hold on a second. The business of being creative, Lynn Stevens. And also Lynn, so her company is Think Splendid, and she has a great blog, and she also does market research. So she does like she does consumer psychology. And so she talks a lot about all of that stuff, and she'll do like worldwide budgets and like what people are looking for, what they're not finding, and stuff like that.
Can you spell please the name of their company?
Think, THINK,
Yeah.
Splendid, SPL.
Splendid. That's easy.
Yeah.
Think Splendid.
Think as your brain thinks. Think Splendid. Yeah.
I love the name.
I found it.
She's someone I follow, like I really respect. She does a lot of the research, and she's like really good. So
we will try and maybe invite her for like interview as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think she got coronavirus, and so she's in the middle of like recovering, but she talks a lot about, I mean, she writes some really, really valuable points on like businesses right now, and then like essentially racism in the wedding industry and the lack of representation. She's not afraid to like go out on a limb or like really speak honestly and openly. So she's phenomenal. And I mean, all of them, like Sean Lowe, The Business of Being Creative, and Lynn are like two that I followed for years and just like really respect what they have to say. Also, if you can get Marcy Bloom to respond to your email and be on this, she's hilarious. Also, Cindy Novotny. I'll send you those names. But Marcy Bloom literally needs her own comedy show. And she's been doing this for like 30 years. And then Cindy Novotny teaches, I had a room in Mexico next to her, and she was playing Christmas carols really loud. It was really cute. And then I sat next to her in Dubai, and she does worldwide sales for hospitality brands and like travel. So she's got a really good perspective on like, she's just hilarious. Personally, I think she's like, both of those two would be super fun to listen to. Like, they're great.
Okay, cool.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, keep me posted if you have any more, and we can totally do it. We should do a live, an IG live, where I just answer questions, because you.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, let's do it.
There we go. And maybe we can do one. I laugh. I was like, oh, my publisher would love this. Something around, I mean, I'll talk about anything as evidence. But my book comes out in how many weeks? I need to count. 2, 3, I don't know. But no, we can totally, let's do an IG live, and I'm down for whatever.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
That's cool.
We just need to think about translation, because not everyone knows English.
Yeah.
That's why we actually going to edit these interviews and add some subtitles. But
oh, great!
About live. I mean, this is a great idea. We just want to communicate with our viewers so they will understand, and they will be.
But we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we will
we
think
will
about
figure
it.
that.
This is a great
That's
idea.
so cool.
Yeah, we would love it.
Oh, you're so fast. I love it. Thank you.
I've never done an IG live, but I was like, I do it with you guys. I think this works really nicely. So I was like, someone else to do this with would be really great, because me just sitting and talking, I was like, what do you guys want to know? So have your set of hats. That really helps with like shower time. And and I put on makeup for the first time in a long time for today. I was like, I'm going to remember to do this. So
I already forgot how to apply makeup, I was like staying like
I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, oh, I don't know.
Oh.
Me too.
Yeah, you did. You spent a lot of time on blush. You needed to work it. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any other questions, and thank you so much. And this has been so wonderful. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you
so much. It was
You
made it not only Friday. You made
Awesome.
maybe that.
Yeah, it looks the whole week.
I love Los Angeles, and with this interview, one of the amazing experience which I had.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we'll bring this international in a really fun way. We'll bring it full circle.
Yeah, so,
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you later.
talk to you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Nice day.
Это было невероятно информативное и полезное интервью. И мы коротко суммировали самые важные моменты, как продвигаться. Первое, о чем говорит Элизабет, видение долгосрочной стратегии – это часть успеха.
И второе, сторителлинг – это неотъемлемая часть работы свадебного организатора. Вас должно быть очень легко найти, поэтому SEO оптимизация – это ключ к успеху.
Если вам понравилось это видео,
То ставьте лайк.
и подписывайтесь на нас в Инстаграм.